Hello everyone and welcome to Hook or Crook Crochet. Today I'm going to be making this adorable crochet popcorn. I specialize in crocheting what I call crochet play food. I love this for a project for the little ones if they like to play in their play kitchen. I make all sorts of great little crochet play foods for them, but this popcorn seems to be pretty popular, so I make two versions. There's the standard white version. Obviously you could make it white and you can sew the kernels on there. I'm going to show you how to do that today. And also if you'd like to make the cheesy popcorn version, I've got that one available as well. It's really important that you use the really great color to make it look like cheesy popcorn, and I'll share with you that color that I use as opposed to this color, which is for the kernels. So I think you guys know what you need for everything, but I'm going to review what I used for this crochet popcorn project. So let's get started. So for the standard white popcorn, I used, of course, any acrylic white yarn. I recommend you use, nothing super fancy. The cheaper the better when you're making this kind of crochet play food. It really gives you a long wear, and you could even wash these items if necessary. And then a yellow color for the kernels that you're going to sew in, so you need two colors. You're also going to need a little bit of fiber fill, and you don't want to overfill your popcorn. I'm going to show you how to fill it in the perfect way so it won't overfill. Of course, you're going to want a darning needle, a pair of scissors, and you can use any size crochet hook you like. If you want to make your popcorn small, you can use a smaller crochet hook. Today I'm going to be using a 2.5 millimeter crochet hook, and that's going to give us kind of a large-ish size popcorn kernel. But I find that this size is really great for when you need to sew in and do the extras and the embellishments. This is a good size to use. So let's get started. So with the white yarn, we're going to start by doing a magic circle. And if you don't know how to do a magic circle, it's really important for you to try to learn how to do that for this project, because we want the top of the popcorn to close really tight, and this magic circle will allow us to do that. So let me grab a piece here. So when you see at the top, you want this to be really tight. So we're going to start with that magic circle, and we're going to go directly into the magic circle with 5 single crochet. I'm going to try to do it a little bit loose just so you can see it. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to pull it. Now this is the reason I like the magic circle, because when you close that hole there, it's going to be really easy for you to pull it. I'm not going to pull it all the way, just so I won't have a hard time going back into the single crochet, because we're going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch around. And then we can pull that tail as we go along. So we're going to do 10 stitches total. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and I'm going to pull it tight and then do that last 2 stitches. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it super tight so it'll really close tight for me, just like that. Okay, so you have 10 stitches all the way around. Next we're going to do 13 single crochet. We're just going to single crochet and count out 13 stitches. And you can kind of tuck your tail under the back after that first stitch. I'm just going to tuck it in the back in case I need it to pull tight again. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so as you can see, the popcorn is starting to take on a little bit of its shape. If you need to pull that tail to make sure it's nice and tight there at the top, feel free to do so now. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you how to do these little scalloped edges and how to close up the popcorn and then sew in the embellishment with the kernels. To start our embellishment, or our scalloped edges if you will, you are going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch, and then in this next stitch you're going to do 3 stitches. You're going to do a half double crochet, you're going to do a double crochet, and then you're going to do 1 more half double crochet, all in the same stitch. Should look like that. And in the next stitch you're going to do a single crochet, and then in the next stitch you're going to do a slip stitch, and then you're going to start this over again with a half double crochet in the next stitch, a double crochet in the same stitch, and a half double crochet in that same stitch. In the next stitch you're going to do a single crochet, and then the next stitch you're going to do a slip stitch. So you see how we're starting to get those little scalloped edges on there? That's what we want. We're going to do the same thing one more time. Half double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet, and a half double crochet. We're going to do a single in the next stitch, and then we're going to do a slip stitch to finish it, just like that. Okay, so we basically have the full kernel done, and we're going to stuff it. If you want your kernel to be a little larger or longer, you could add more stitches or do 1 more stitch around if you like. I find that this is a perfect size for me. So what you're going to do is cut off a decent size tail there, because we're going to use that tail. And I will show you how we're going to stuff it and close it up. You want to be strategic so you don't overstuff. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Next, you'll take your tapestry needle and you're going to essentially sew around the bottom of the popcorn. I kind of go down into this row, that last row where we did the scalloped edges. I go down into that row first, do a little stitch, and then it doesn't have to be neat. You're just gonna go in and out and make a really loose stitch around on that row where we did the scalloped edges, all the way around, very loose. If you do it too tight, you won't be able to control how you're stuffing your kernel. So very loose. And when I get around to the beginning where I started, I'm gonna put my finger in there and then I'm gonna pull. So it's gonna show me how big the hole actually is going to be to fill, because if you overfill, it doesn't turn out too great. It is very difficult for you to close the popcorn kernel. It's very difficult for you to sew in the embellishments. So what I do is I take a teeny tiny bit of fiber fill and push it in there with my finger, really, really tight. And then I'm going to pull my tail. I can still leave my finger in there a little bit to make sure that all the fiber fill is going in. And I'm going to pull it really tight, just like that. And there's my kernel. So the next thing that it's really important to do is with your tapestry needle, sometimes if you didn't do like a really uniform stitch to pull, it'll have tiny little bumps where you just want to take your needle and just make sure there are no bumps around that edge. And it's also a great way for you to make sure that it's going to stay and it won't come loose. So you see how I'm doing these. You know, I'm getting so good at it, I really don't have lumps like I used to, but when I started making these, I'd have those little lumps around the edge. So I'm just going to do this, make sure it's real tight. And then I'm going to cut. And I kind of push down the kernel, push down and clip. And that way there's no piece of yarn dangling out. And there it is. Okay. So next I'm going to show you how you can put the kernel or the embellishments on the bottom. What's important when you're sewing your embellishments is to try to hide your yellow color so it doesn't, you know, show through right here when you're sewing these embellishments in. So as you can see, sometimes it might show through a little, and the more you do these, the better you get and find your technique on how you can hide the yellow yarn. So what I do is I insert kind of from the top and go up through the very middle of my kernel. And I just kind of leave that there. I'm going to cut that, leave a little piece so, you know, you could have a little bit, you know, of wiggle room when you're creating your kernels on there. So from the middle, I'll start with one of the little scalloped edges. And I will go right in the same place of entry and very carefully go up that little scalloped edge. And you don't want to make your needle go through the opposite side there. So you want to be very careful and pull that through very gently, very gently. And you want to have to go through that edge or that petal again. So you want to go in and very carefully go back to the middle. And you want to make sure you're not going through on the outside of that petal. So you're going to come up there, pull very gently so you can get that nice look of a kernel there. And then you're going to do the same thing on all three. Wrap that yarn and pull very gently. And then you're going to go through again, being very careful not to let the needle go through on the opposite side. And pull gently. And one more time. And you know, none of these have to be, you know, they should all look a little bit different. They don't have to be perfect. That makes it really look like real popcorn. On that last one, I'm going to kind of randomly let that yarn go out up here. You see I've got my scalloped edges. You can pull them a little bit if necessary. And the clipping is really important. So you want to push down your work. Oops. Push it down and clip so you don't see that yellow yarn. And the same on the side of your kernel of popcorn. I'm going to push down the work and clip and push and shape it. Oops. if I can clip a little piece, push it in there. Sometimes I grab my tapestry needle and I just push it in there into the fiber fill. Okay. So there is your kernel. Now obviously when you're doing this for the cheesy popcorn, I didn't do the embellishments. I only did the kernel. The pattern is exactly the same. And again, this is the 2.5. I think with this kernel, I probably used a needle or a crochet hook that was just a little bit larger. But you can make whatever size you would like. And they're super cute. Now, the color that I found, color is really, really, really important when making crochet play food. It makes it look so much more realistic. I found this color. It is called mantequilla or butter. And this is the brand. So this color really helped my popcorn to look really cheesy. As you could see, this was the yellow that I used on the standard popcorn. So it makes a huge difference when you can use a very yummy color to make it look as authentic as possible. So I hope this was helpful in showing you how I make my standard popcorn and my cheesy popcorn. Come back and see me over here on Hook or Crook Crochet, and we can enjoy making lots and lots of crochet play food together. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Bye-bye.